There's tons of symmetry between cooking and music.
One pleasures your ears, the other tantalizes your taste buds, but they both feed your soul. Welcome to the King of Cuisine.
Welcome everybody to the very first episode of the King of Cuisine. You probably got a couple questions. First off, what is the King of Cuisine all about? We're going to be doing some recipes that you can easily replicate at home, and we're going to have some fun along the way. Why do we call it the King of Cuisine? Why? Because the king is part of the project. I like to fondly call him Discount Elvis. He'd be the Elvis that you get if you had little or no budget. He'd be the Elvis that you get for your grandmother's 94th birthday. Make sure to ply her with an extra couple shots of scotch, and she'll be thinking, that's the best Elvis that I've ever heard. It's just like being at Graceland. But in actuality, not so much. Oh, hey everybody. Here's a fun food fact for you. The first batch of nachos were invented by the now infamous maitre d' Ignacio Anaya. He whipped up the first batch of nachos for some hungry U.S. military wives, which had crossed the border of Mexico to go to his restaurant called the Victoria Club. It was late at night. He had run out of almost all supplies, but he did have some tortillas. He chopped up those tortillas, put them in a fryer, got them golden brown, put them on a plate, grated some cheese on there, put some jalapenos, and the rest is history. He had to have a name for this fantastic dish, and he named it after himself, which was his nickname, Nacho. I kind of wish he would have named it after my nickname, which is Big Sexy. Wouldn't it be great to order a large heaping plate of Big Sexy and make mine extra spicy? Now, can somebody hand me my bat? Hey, it's time to get started with the King of Cuisine. It is nacho time. All right, everybody, today is cheat day. We are not counting any calories whatsoever. Take a look at me. It looks like I do not count calories. We got to start off by browning off our beef. Listen to that. We got some sizzle. Today I'm using ground beef, but you can use ground pork, ground chicken, ground turkey. I have even used Italian sausage, and it really ramps it up. Now that's going to take a little while to brown off. Just going to let that go. Let's talk about the seasoning that we're gonna have for our tacos. We've got chili powder, garlic powder, onion powder. We've got some oregano, some cumin, some paprika. I like to use hot paprika, just some ground pepper, and some kosher salt. And what we have here is some cornstarch. And what cornstarch does is it makes for a real, we're gonna add some water to this. We're gonna blend all of the spices together, and it's gonna really act as a real unctuous taco gravy. So let's get these mixed up. Just gonna add these to our bowl. All right, as you can see, our beef is beautifully browned. Now I'm just gonna add a few ounces of water, bring that up to a boil, and now we're gonna add our taco seasoning. Depending on your palate, you can add less, add more. Make this dish your own, okay? So I'm just gonna mix this through. It's gonna take a little while to reduce. Once it is reduced, I'm just gonna turn the heat off, set it aside, and then we'll reheat it when we're ready to plate the nachos. All right, while the beef is reducing, let's go to our oil. I'm heating our oil right now. Our goal is to get it to around 375. Need a really heavy walled pot so it'll retain that heat. We're gonna heat it up to about 375. Once we put the cold items in there, it is going to reduce probably to around 350. That's our optimum cooking temperature. If we had a thin-walled pot, it would drop down below that, and the stuff wouldn't be cooking, it'd actually be sucking in the oil. Let's get onto our cheese sauce. All right, cheese sauce starts with a bechamel sauce. What bechamel is it's half fat, half flour. The fat we're using today is butter. I got about 2 tablespoons of butter in there, equal amount of flour. Now, we need to cook that flour. Reason that we need to cook that flour, we're gonna get some nice color on this. You cook it till it gets the appropriate color, and it'll prevent your cheese sauce from being grainy. It's just gonna take a few minutes. All right, we got some great color on our roux. Now, it's time to add some cream. Just add it in slowly. Incorporate it. Okay. Now it's just going to take a minute or so, and this is going to tighten right up. Once that gets a little bit more tight, what we've done right here is made one of the mother sauces a basic bechamel.
Oh, hey everybody. Here's another food fact for you. There's 5 basic mother sauces based in French cooking. We have the bechamel. You're very familiar with that one. It's a blonde roux with dairy. Then you have a velouté, which is same blonde roux, but with broth, but a light broth like chicken broth. Then you have an espagnole, which is a dark roux with a dark sauce like beef, but you also add some tomato paste and some mirepoix, which is basic celery, carrot, and onion. Then you have a basic tomato sauce. I don't think I really have to expand on that one. And then we have my favorite, hollandaise. Now the hollandaise is the only one that is thickened without a roux. It's an emulsion of egg yolks and melted butter. When I talk sauces, it makes me want to sing. Well, bless my soul, what's wrong with me? I think I know I'm a kinda hungry. I could drink that bechamel by the cup. I'm in love. I'm all sauced up. Hoo, hoo, hoo. Hoo, hey, hey. I'm all sauced up.
All right, our bechamel is more or less a blank canvas. Doesn't really have that much flavor. So now it's time to add some flavor. As you can see, it's pretty tight. I'm gonna thin it out. And what I'm gonna thin it out was with beer. Why? Because it's beer. Don't really need a reason to add beer to something, I don't think. I'm gonna make this a little bit thinner than the finished product because we're gonna be adding some cheese to this, and that's gonna thicken it up as well. So I actually want a fairly thin consistency. Some for the bechamel, some for the cook. Yummy, yummy, bubble gummy. All right, we're getting there. Almost a little bit more beer. Add a nice little lightness to the bechamel, a little bit of zest. Okay, want to make sure that all the lumps are out. Okay, now it's time to crank up the flavor. I want to grab my cheese. All right, it's time to add the cheese. I've got a 4 cheese blend, an Italian blend. We've got some Romano, some mozzarella, some Emmenthal. Gonna add some Parm and also some really great sharp cheddar. Here's the 4 cheese blend. It's gonna take a little bit. You don't wanna add too much. Just wanna, and you definitely don't want your pan too hot. You want it just warm enough to melt the cheese. And as far as I'm concerned, you can't really add too much cheese. Just a little at a time. That's starting to melt. Let's get some cheddar in there. Some nice sharp old cheddar. You can more or less use pretty close to any type of cheese. You could even go real tailgate, use, what is that, Velveeta? You can use Velveeta. Hell, you could even use Cheese Whiz if you want. Reminds me of one of my favorite lines from Jay Leno. He goes, in regards to food, don't eat anything with the word whiz in it. Words to live by. Nice, Jay. So we're just gonna grate some Parm in there. Flavor, flavor. All right, our cheese is starting to melt quite well. It's still gonna take another couple minutes. We got time to add even more flavor. Worcester, that's gonna add a nice little zip to our cheese sauce. And where the heck did I put my paprika? All right, I'm back. I found the paprika. Somebody was hiding it on me. Got a nice little dash, ramp up the heat. And there is one other thing that I'm going to fold into this. I've got some finely chopped jalapeno, adds a nice little zip to it. And I'm also going to add some finely diced red bell pepper, a little balance between the heat and the sweet. And besides, it actually looks nice. Okay, it's time to taste. Let's see how our seasoning is. Not bad, but we need a little bit of kosher salt. Can add a good pinch. Mix that through. And let's taste again. All right, I'm happy with that. Just gonna remove it from the heat. We'll reheat it when we're ready to plate the nachos. All right, it's time to fry some tots. Temperature is at 375. These things are cold, they're right out of the freezer, so the temp is going to drop a little bit, as I talked about before. I use a spider rather than just dropping them in. I can gently place them in with little spattering. As you can hear, we're frying. All right, get those in. Let's add some more. Once they come up to temp, the moisture is going to be released out of there and they're going to float to the top. They're going to be nice and brown and you're going to know that they're done. All right, the tots have floated to the top. I can tell they're nice and crispy. Time to take them out. We're just going to let them rest on some paper towel, drain off that excess fat. Man, they're looking good. Phenomenal. And again, there's an opportunity to add a little bit of flavor. Anytime there is, I do. Kosher salt, just hit it with a little bit of kosher salt. And now, it's time to plate our nachos. It's nacho plating time. In the bottom of our dish, we're gonna lay down one layer of tots. Now, on the first layer, we're gonna start adding some flavor. Cheese sauce. Layer down a bit of cheese sauce there. Can you ever have too much cheese sauce? And a bit of the taco beef. We're gonna add the rest of our tots on top of this. And what are we gonna add? We're gonna add some more cheese sauce. Look at it cascading over those nachos. Now taco beef, spread that over that. And see, I'm doing it in layers because nothing's worse than ordering some nachos. You eat the top layer with all the goodies. All you got is taco chips for the rest of the damn dish. Okay, that's looking good. Now, we're gonna garnish with a little bit of scallion. And there you have it, tater tot nachos. All right, today we're pairing the nachos with a Four Winds IPA. Woo, look at that. It's a real hoppy beer. The hoppiness in this really cuts through the fat of this dish. Four Winds are located in Delta, BC. And this is about 70 IBU.
Oh, hey everybody. Instead of a food fact, we got ourselves a booze fact. IBU. What does it mean? What does it stand for? IBU is short for International Bitter Units. And what is an International Bitter Unit? Is the measurement, parts per million, of an acid that causes bitterness in hops called isohumolone. Higher the number, the more bitter the beer. Now, I want to really thank you guys for watching this episode, and this is really coming from my heart. I want you guys to know I love brew. You see what I did there? Instead of you, I say brew. That's funny. Cheers.
Okay, guys. Honestly, I really want to say thank you very much for joining us today. This is our first episode. There's first episode of many to come. I want to say cheers to you. Thank you very much. And make these nachos. They don't suck. Again, thanks. Cheers. Good night, everybody.
Hey everybody. Thank you very much for tucking into this episode of the King of Cuisine. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. Hell, if you didn't enjoy it, subscribe anyways, because if you don't, I'll be coming to your house and singing Nickelback till you do. Look at that photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh. That's not going to be very good, is it? Subscribe.